Hello. Today I am coming to you from my afternoon walk. Yes, you heard it. Afternoon walk. Typically, I vlog during my morning walk, but I've added an afternoon walk to my repertoire because my pants are feeling a little tight. And this month will mark the 12th anniversary of hitting my goal weight in Weight Watchers, and I don't want to go backwards. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Patricia Brooks. I am an American living in the south of France and have been for 7 years. And on my channel, I talk about my life in France, about moving abroad, and how to find the confidence and courage to live life on your terms. And today is a vlog day. So I'm going to show you what I am seeing right now. So very beautiful. Now this is a different path from the one that I usually take. And I don't typically take this path because I like to go up into the hills and then come down into the center of town. And on this particular path, I don't end up in the center of town. So this is why I don't take this that often, but it is definitely one of the prettier paths here in Céret. Now, I am recently back from a dog sit in a town or village called La Roque des Alberts, which is about 30 minutes from where I live. And it was just a weekend sit, 3 days, 2 nights. And with a dog that a friend of mine says that I am the aunt of, because I used to go sit a little bit more regularly, sometimes day sit, sometimes weekend sits, but I don't do a lot of dog sitting much anymore because it's really not my thing. I will do it for these friends I have now made because of dog sitting, but really something I tried because I'd heard that it was an opportunity to go and visit different places and not have to pay for accommodations. And that seemed pretty neat at the time. So I tried it, found it wasn't really the thing for me, and I moved on from that. And I think the reason that it's not really for me is because I am such a homebody, and I have been for most of my life. When I was in the States, if I went on vacation, if I traveled someplace, I would always be thinking in the back of my mind, this is nice, but I can't wait to be back home. And that stopped for me for a couple of years while I was kind of in transition, kind of thinking, oh, perhaps I could live in a French-speaking country. And when I was traveling and visiting places that could be my potential home, like Quebec City, Canada, and France, that idea of, oh, this is nice, but I can't wait to be back home, kind of went away. And I really thoroughly enjoy traveling. But now that I have found home here in France, that sentiment has come back with a vengeance. This weekend, like I said, it was Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday. And I love Duncan. Duncan is the border collie that I watch. So full of energy. And, but I was thinking, yeah, this is nice. It's a nice change of scenery. but I really miss being in my own space. If you're a homebody, you can probably relate. And if you are one, why not let me know and type homebody in the comments? Now, I mentioned that I'm coming up on an anniversary of my weight loss goal, 12 years at the end of May. And it's pretty amazing. It was a big reinvention at the time that I accomplished by changing my habits. There are big R reinventions and there are small R reinventions. I did a Women Rising Roundtable about this in February and really uncovered that idea. And those small R reinventions are the habits that we want to change. Maybe we want to read more, or maybe we want to exercise more, or maybe we want to eat better. And that's what I did. Over the course of 13 months, I started to eat healthier. I started to exercise more. I started to track the points or the calories that I was taking in. And little by little, I changed my habits and I changed my body. And then it became a big art reinvention because at the end of those 13 months, I was 75 pounds or about 33 kilos lighter. And I was a different person. However, that change was not a change that I was so sure would stick because I had lost 50 pounds about a decade earlier and I'd put it all back on, every single ounce. And so I was a little bit afraid that, it was just a flash in the pan, something that would not last. So over the next couple of years, I was still very diligent about tracking my points and my activity and making sure I stayed the course. And after, I guess, about 2 years at this weight, I started to feel like, this is who I am now. And that became the big R reinvention. But it was brought about by changes in my habits, small things that I did consistently to reach that big R reinvention. And now, 12 years later, in this body feels like the body I've had all along because, after some time, you adjust. I think that sometimes there are things that we want to experience in our lives that kind of just strike us. Like for me, after visiting Quebec City, Canada, I got this wild idea that, you should learn to speak French fluently. And maybe you can do that by living in a French-speaking country. Never in my wildest dreams had this thought cross my mind until then. And now look at me. And that's a big reinvention. But it was like just an idea. And I think that we all reinvent ourselves. Sometimes our reinventions are forced on us, which don't necessarily feel so good, but we get changed. And other times when we are more proactive, or when we listen to the thing that we feel like we should do and we take steps despite the fact that it is scary or doesn't make us feel like it's possible, but we step into the unknown anyway. And then finally, little by little, we accomplish what we want. It's so very empowering. And so over the course of these 7 years and in building my business, I started to recognize that, I am kind of someone who knows a thing or two about reinvention. I've reinvented my body, right, to be a thinner version of myself. I have reinvented my ability to speak a foreign language. I have reinvented my career. I have reinvented my life in a new country. I have also reinvented my finances when I got out of debt. And that was an empowering one as well. So I've been talking a lot about reinvention. And it's because it's been on my mind. I had that Women Rising Roundtable in February. And now I'm going to have another one on May 17th. It's a Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. And it's for women who are ready to really embrace something new in their lives. Something that maybe they've wanted for a long time, but haven't had any luck in pulling it off. Maybe they want some support or some guidance in creating a reinvention plan. Maybe they have started and stalled and would like some support in that. And we'll come together for 2.5 hours and we're going to work on our plans and get them in shape, create a way to hold ourselves accountable so that we can really experience that next thing that will make us feel like we are living to our highest potential. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to put a link to that in the description so that you can check it out, see what it's all about, sign up. There are limited spots. This is an intimate group. So if you're interested, don't hesitate. And I hope to see you there. I've been working with an intern who has been amazing. I think we just finished out our 3rd week together, and it has been a really good experience for both of us so far. I think she's learning a lot about social media, marketing, and creating designs and things of that nature. And I am improving my French skills. Now, one of the things that I did recently was take the DELF B2 exam. And to prepare for that, I had to really buckle down and study in a way that I hadn't studied in a long time, or maybe ever. And I did that for a good 6 weeks solid, and it was a lot of work. But over the course of that 6 weeks, I really saw my level of French improve and my confidence with it as well. And I was studying 4 different ways, the oral presentation, the oral comprehension, the written comprehension, and then the written production. the written production and the written comprehension were things that I hadn't really worked so much on. So I had to work a lot on that. And as I said, over the course of that 6 weeks, I really progressed. And I thought to myself, Patricia, you need to keep this up. Thing is, it took a lot of time. A lot of time that at the time I didn't feel like I had, but I needed to because I had the deadline, the test was looming. And so I thought, oh, how can you keep that up? Well, luck would have it that my intern was starting. And so when I interviewed her, I decided that we were going to work all in French. She's writing in English. The social media posts, of course, are in English. But when we have our meetings, they are in French for the most part. Probably 85% of the time we are speaking French. And I am continuing my progress in that way. I also recently was asked to write an article for a project management blog all in French, and I stepped up to it and I did it, and that felt really good too. So I think just by doing things that stretch me, that push me, because it would be so easy for me to meet with my intern in English, right? Because it's the default language. I know all the words, the business words that I want to use, but that wouldn't give me the practice that I need. And so it feels really good to have this opportunity to work with her. I recently, maybe over the last 4 or 5 months, I decided that once a month that I was going to go to the movies, treat myself to a movie and watch it in French. And I'm so glad I'm doing that because it really feels like a treat for me. I will drive to Perpignan and I'll pick a movie first, right? I have to do the research to pick the movie, and then I'll drive to Perpignan. When I'm driving there is this anticipation. Is the movie going to be any good? I'm behind the wheel, and being behind the wheel kind of is freeing for me. When I moved to France, the idea of not driving was not something that I thought. And I think the reason that I still enjoy driving is because when I was in the States, I had a commute, but it was only about 20 minutes one way. So, and it wasn't a bad commute at all. So I didn't get burned out on driving. The fact that I have a car now doesn't mean I drive all of the time, but it really, having the car does open up opportunities for me to do things that I might not otherwise do, like that dog sit. There would be no way that I could dog sit in La Roque des Alberts without a car. So anyway, I've been going to the movies once a month, at least once a month, and watching a French film. And a couple weeks ago, I watched the movie 100 millions, 100 million. And it's about a blue-collar worker who is also the head of his union, who inherits $100 million. And the dilemma is that he's still a down-to-earth kind of guy. And so there is that pull of, is he going to be changed? You know, how are the people going to receive him? And it was a comedy, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think one of the things that makes watching French films now enjoyable is that I understand so much of them. I understand just about 100% of them now, and you know what they're saying. And that is amazing to me because when I first moved to Perpignan, I went to the movies one time with somebody I was taking French lessons with, and I didn't understand much of it, and it really wasn't that enjoyable. But now that my level has improved so much, it is. And I get such a kick out of it. If you're working to learn French or any foreign language, I think that listening to, watching movies, films, documentaries in that language is really important. And one thing that could help you if you want to learn French and you enjoy watching French series or movies or documentaries, the people at France Channel have offered me a promotion code, Patricia 15, that will give you 15% off a monthly or annual subscription. And France Channel, if you're not aware, is the #1 streaming service for French TV shows and series and documentaries and children's programming. They have the largest library and is accessible to an English-speaking audience because there are subtitles. And the programming is really well done. So if that's something that you think could help you, then why not check it out and take advantage of the promo code. I'll put a link to that in the description so you can check it out and see if it's for you. You know, one of the things that I recognized about myself in moving to France was that beauty is important to me. When I was going through coach training back in 2015 and 2016, one of the first activities we did was an activity to see which values, core values, were important to us. And I saw beauty on the list and I laughed. I thought, beauty? How is that a core value? And so, of course, I didn't put it down, but my being here has really shown me that it is really important to me. And the French know how to make lots of different things beautiful. You know, the way that they plate their food, the landscapes, the gardens, just so much here is beautiful. The language for me is just such a beautiful language, which is one of the reasons I wanted to be able to speak it. I don't know if I speak it as beautifully or when I speak it, if it's that beautiful, but just being around it feels really good. And you can't tell from the video, but as I'm walking along, I smell the flowers and it smells so good. It's heavenly. Now, one downside is that, I guess like anywhere, there's a lot of pollen out these days. The wind has calmed down this afternoon, but this morning and earlier this afternoon, the wind was kicking up something fierce. And it was almost like a snowstorm. You could see all of the pollen and stuff in the air. So this is really a nice walk too, that I probably should do more often. But as I said, I really like, going up into the hills, but then coming down in to the center of town. There's something special. There's a part of my walk when I hit a certain corner, something comes over me. This feeling like, here I am. This is home to me. This is my place. Now, I've been talking a lot about a lot and nothing at the same time. So I think I'm going to end it here. Let me know your thoughts. What stood out to you about the things that were going through my head that I decided to share with you? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, subscribe. And if you're interested in the Women Rising Roundtable or France Channel, be sure to check out the links in the description. All right, so that is all I have for you today, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.